Joe Klatt. Joe Klatt. We got the clickety-clack. We got the clickety-clack. The Colin Coward clap back. No, we haven't set a date. No, we haven't set a time. But I will let you know when that does happen.
Today we are going to preview number 7 Oklahoma versus Texas Tech. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Considering the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. So it's OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today we're going to preview Oklahoma versus Texas Tech. But you know what time it is. I got this book coming out. It's called Let It Bang. I would appreciate it if you bought it. If you bought it, leave a review on Goodreads or Amazon. Put a lot of effort into it. It's 2 years of my work. Also would like you to take a look at this comic book with my buddy, Derek Hefner. I wrote the story. He did all the rest of the work. It's killer, man. You go to the Patreon site, give $5, you can read the PDF. It's awesome. We're going to start up a campaign, try to see if we can't get it published for the folks who like the comic books like myself. So like you, I have notifications on my phone. I get notifications about things like Oklahoma Sooners football, Thunder's basketball, and Cleveland Browns football, because that's where we're at now because they got one of our own, and Baker's a big deal to us. So when I saw that Hugh Jackson was fired, like you, I couldn't say that I didn't see it coming, but I thought it was going to be at the end of the year like most folks. But I also, suspiciously, I'm thinking that there's a group of Sooners fans who are probably on their way up to Lincoln Riley's office, if they already are there, with brass knuckles chains and bats called Lucille, yelling things like, "This is Sparta," and "You shall not pass," like Lord of the Rings. You understand what I'm getting at here. Lincoln Riley is not just the it guy for the Browns. He is the it guy for every NFL team that sucks. Because there just aren't that many assistants that folks are willing to throw lots of money at and say, please run my football team. Especially with the pedigree and the ability to coach the quarterback position in offenses like Lincoln Riley. Closest thing to that is Sean McVay, and he's undefeated this season. Everybody wants to get the next Sean McVay into their stable. That said, Cleveland Browns is a dumpster fire. Like, I like John Dorsey, and he's building a winner there, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it with the guys that he has calling the offense, that'd be Todd Haley or Hugh Jackson. I don't think that Greg Williams is necessarily the answer at defensive coordinator either, but I think John Dorsey knows from GMs, and that's my only real concern, is if John Dorsey puts the full court press on Lincoln Riley to get him up to Cleveland, I don't know how that could go, except to say what Lincoln has been saying all along, which is that he's very happy at Oklahoma. He doesn't look like he wants to go. This is a dream job. This is a Yankees job for anybody, and you can make a really good argument that Oklahoma will always be a better job than the Cleveland Browns for a number of reasons, not the least of which is there is no John Dorsey over your shoulder telling you what you should and what you shouldn't do. If Lincoln Riley wants to offer a guy, he offers a guy. If he wants to put the full court press on getting that guy to commit to Oklahoma, he can do that. He doesn't need to run personnel decisions through a guy like his GM or, and this is crucial, an NFL owner. And after reading Mark Leibovich's book called Big Game, where the only real cool person in it is Roger Goodell's wife because she's making Roger Goodell's jokes, you get to see that NFL owners, by and large, are really not cool people. They think they're cool people. They think they're awesome people. But the degree of separation between billionaires and everybody else is about 1 trillion. And their egos are enormous and they're giant. And nobody wants to be the next guy to get fired at any job. And that's what you're signing up for if you want to be an NFL head coach. Because if you look at who the longest tenured NFL coaches are, you're looking at guys like Belichick. You're looking at guys like Marvin Lewis. You're looking at guys like Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, Bill Belichick, they have Super Bowls. Marvin Lewis is just the guy that can put up with whatever it is they decide to do over there at Cincinnati and has some bona fide problems as people plan on his defense in particular, to say nothing of what kind of an athlete Joe Mixon has turned out to be up there. But I don't think that's what you want to walk into as a guy coming from the college ranks who just got his Yankees job and is learning what it means to build a winner year in and year out. Oklahoma's always in the mix for national championships. He has the best offense running today, which means that he can recruit whoever he wants to come play offense, and he'll get a defensive coordinator if he doesn't have one already in Ruffin McNeil. I'm not worried about this, but we're all going to worry about this until we find out who the next permanent head coach is for the Cleveland Browns. But when Black Monday comes around, we're all going to be biting our nails again because everybody's going to be coming to Norman to try to get our guy. Now, before we get into OU Texas Tech, I got some feelings about the college football playoff projection I think we need to go through, right? I think the AP poll is actually pretty reliable when it comes to giving a good understanding of what and how the college football playoff selection committee might go about its business. I know that there are some flaws to it, not the least of which is there are some voters out there who really don't deserve votes or don't watch enough college football for their votes to even matter, realistically and honestly. They just suck at their jobs. That said, there are no real qualms on this end with the top 10, give or take. Now, number 1, Bama, I think we all agree there. Number 2, Clemson, I think we all agree there. Number 3, Notre Dame is undefeated, so I think most of us agree there. And then it gets a little dicey because you're getting into one-loss teams, right? You've got number 4, LSU, who has one of the best losses, which is a weird thing to say out loud, but it matters in our sport, against a Florida team that got whooped by Georgia last weekend, right? Then at number 5, you've got a one-loss Michigan team who really does have the best loss in college football to an undefeated Notre Dame team. LSU wishes it could have held on to that one loss till it got to Bama, then it would be able to say that, but that ain't true. That said, Bama could be the best one-loss team if LSU can beat them. Then at number 6, you've got Georgia, and I got a problem with that because I don't think that Georgia's that good, and I think the way that LSU beat Georgia speaks to not just how bad the Georgia team is, but about how good the LSU team could be, and that's where Oklahoma being at number 7, I got a real problem with because, well, all the AP voters said was that Texas was legit and Texas was real and that loss to Maryland didn't even matter anymore. All of a sudden, this is a top 10 team, and oh yeah, they get spanked by Oklahoma State, and all of a sudden, Texas ain't any good. And by association, Oklahoma ain't that good because it took the one loss to Texas. I think that's bunk. I think that Texas falling as far as they did, I can't say that I didn't see that coming. However, I do think it's a little bit biased. And as far as the playoff selection committee, I think that they're really going to make a statement with these rankings. And I'll bet you the first 3 we know will probably stay the same because they're undefeated and they play big boy schedules. At number 4, I bet they put Michigan. At number 5, I would see LSU. Number 6 is Oklahoma. Number 7 would be Georgia, and so forth, so on. Those are the teams that we care about because that's what we're doing here. So that's how I expect the playoff committee to rank the first 7 teams and then who gives a darn. Now, as far as what it could look like, the only way this gets dicey for Oklahoma is if you have a bunch of one-loss teams at the end of the season, in which case Bama gets in, Clemson gets in, even though their schedule, you could make an argument, is the weakest of all the one-loss teams that would be left. Notre Dame would probably get in with one loss, and then you're talking about Michigan or Oklahoma, whether or not you're really going to hold up that Notre Dame loss, you're going to hold up that Texas loss, in which case Oklahoma has a problem. But that's all null and void for Oklahoma if you don't beat Texas Tech, and that's what we're talking about today. And this is a team that knows how to move the football. Texas Tech ranks number 2 in plays per game. They get off about 90. They move the football down there at Lubbock, but that's also part of what they do. It's not just that it's Kliff Kingsbury. It's not just that it's the air raid. It's that they pick them up and they put them down. But that's not something that Oklahoma doesn't know how to defend. We see a lot of that. We see it often. We see it with our own offense. No, the worry is the trees on the outside in TJ Vasher at wide receiver and Antoine Wesley at wide receiver. You got 6'6" and 6'5". And show me a 6'6" corner in the Big 12, and I'll show you a guy that's going to be playing in the NBA next year. It doesn't really exist. And this is a year in which you could literally go 5 wide in the Big 12 if you go all conference with 6'5", 6'4", 6'6" guys that know how to play this game at wideout. The 2 guys at Texas Tech obviously make that roster. The 2 guys at Texas make that roster. And then you could put in Hakeem Butler from Iowa State. And if you really want to get sassy about it, probably a Jalen Hurd. I mean, this is just a year for enormous wide receivers to go mossing in this conference. And it's just kind of scary that these are the kind of guys that you have to face if you're Oklahoma to win games. We saw what happened the last time that Oklahoma faced enormous wide receivers. It ended up getting the secondary grits cooked. Colin Johnson's son and folks. L.J. Humphrey's son and folks. Devin Duvernay getting everything he wanted. And T.J. Vasher and Antoine Wesley know how to go get the football. Matter of fact, Antoine Wesley's 58 catches for 977 yards are 3rd most in the country. Yes, They run air raid, but catching the ball is catching the ball, and getting open is getting open. And this is just the kind of guy that you throw jump balls to, and he just comes down with them. This is their CD Lamb. And as good as TJ Vasher is, he's the third best wide receiver in that Texas Tech wide receiving corps, because Jadion High is a 5'11 dude who just knows how to go get the football, knows where to be. Tayshawn Henry at running back is a great pass catcher out of the backfield, like you have to be with this offense. And then Alan Bowman, the freshman, all he's doing is being on his Jalen Redmond, doing his Superman thing, because he had a punctured, collapsed, screwed up lung and came back from that and has been starting. I mean, I don't know where they're making these guys, but however, whatever it is, Kliff Kingsbury is pretty good at picking out quarterbacks, because, yes, we style on him because he messed up the Baker Mayfield thing, but he also put Pat Mahomes into the NFL. And while McLean Carter was supposed to be the starter this year, ended up being just fine with Alan Bowman as the guy. Don't know about Jed Duffy. He looks like a running back playing quarterback back there. But that's to say that Kliff Kingsbury was a guy that was on the hot seat this year, and all he did was go get W's. They're 5-3. It's a tough out in a conference that a lot of people don't believe is tough. So I expect him to show up on the offensive side of the ball. But also, I've been kind of impressed with the defense, and then I look at statistics, right? They're just not as good as I thought they would be. They're giving up 283 yards through the air, which is about 114th in the country. Remember, there's 130 FBS teams. And they're giving up the ball on offense twice a game, which ain't very good. Giving up the ball twice a game gets you into the second half of FBS teams. Well, a team like Oklahoma is one of the best in the country at holding on to football as an offense. And that's the thing, right? As good as Texas Tech is on offense, Oklahoma is actually about 1.5 times better. You're talking about quarterback, you're talking about running back, you're talking about wide receiver, offensive line. We know what we have at Oklahoma. It's about whether or not the defense can slow down the Texas Tech offense, because this is an offense that's averaging 43 a game. And while that's really good, again, Oklahoma has averaged 54.5 a game since the overtime win against Army. All this offense does is put up lots and lots of yards, lots and lots of points, and so efficiently. Like I said, Texas Tech, they go for about 90 plays a game. Oklahoma goes for about 62, 63, and does more yardage, does more damage, because, well, we have Kyler Murray and you don't. And that's going to be a big deal down there in Lubbock. But more than anything else, it's going to be the secondary. Can Trey Brown, Trey Norwood, Parnell Motley, Buki, and the safeties match up against these enormous wide receivers and get their hands in the way of balls that Alan Bowman's been pretty good at putting on folks? 68% completion percentage, but 15-7 TD to INT ratio. It ain't great, but it ain't bad either. What I'm saying is, Texas Tech has a puncher's chance. If for whatever reason the Ruffin McNeil defense that we have not seen for the past 2 games does not show up, yeah, this could be a barn burner, but this is also cool because Oklahoma can win barn burners. Basketball scores are something that we know how to put up and know how to compete with. But I would really like to see the defense continue to take strides. That's been the coolest thing about everything since the Texas loss, right? Ruffin McNeil takes over the defense, and all of a sudden, they've given up 27 points as starters since he's come in, and 34 points total to offenses. 20 points against TCU, 14 points against Kansas State. And I don't care what you tell me about teams like Kansas State or TCU, they played some good football this year. All right, this is a Kansas State team that ran all over Baylor, ran all over Oklahoma State, got nothing against Oklahoma's defense. That's another reason to be encouraged about what's going on with the Texas Tech team, because they're giving up 145 yards rushing a game, and we know that Oklahoma knows how to move the ball, even when it's a blown snap. I can't believe that happened once with Kyler, and then again with Austin Kendall. Just quarterbacks know how to do and move with the ball. So that's the thing to watch for as we move forward. What is the game plan when you talk about slowing down Texas Tech from a receiving standpoint? Because you know they're going to throw the ball at least 50 times against this secondary, because that is the weakest unit that Oklahoma puts out. I'm going to go 51-24. I think this is a game where Texas Tech might start off fast, but the defense will settle in with a 4-2 front, a 3-3 front, and you'll see lots of safety hybrid linebackers flying around making plays. I'm talking about Ryan Jones, talking about Buki, I'm talking about Caleb Kelly, talking about Robert Barnes, and I think the corners, if they want to shut people up, this is a game for them to do it. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.